Here's one of the most important things they're going to be talking about on your phone screen. Walk me through your resume. Walk me through your experience. This is why I always say you guys need to know your resume. Today, we're talking about what to expect on your phone screen or your phone interview. There are so many different types of interviews. You have a phone interview, you have a virtual interview, you have a panel interview, you have a managerial interview, you have a vice president's interview, executive interview. There's so many different kinds of interviews that you guys can encounter, even a luncheon interview. These things exist. So you have to prepare accordingly for each and every one. But on today, this one is specifically about what to expect during your phone interview. Don't let the phone interview be the thing that costs you from going to the next round. I've seen it happen. This is where it all starts. So hone in on what to expect during your phone interview. Phone interviews and phone screenings are just that. It's the screening process. During this process, you're going to be asked basic questions that are going to be those weeding out components on whether or not you're going to go to the next round. Plenty of times I've done phone interviews for, let's say, 17 people, okay? The next phase was to send them to the hiring manager interview. Of those 17 people, I had to probably narrow it down to 7 people, sometimes 10. So I'm trying to cut that in half. So that's why this is crucial. There are some basic components on what to expect during your phone interview. Here are some of the first things you can expect to be asked, okay? You're gonna be asked, one, about team working. Team working is something that is inevitable wherever you go nowadays. Now, you're going to be asked some type of question during your phone interview, which may be along the lines of, do you prefer to work alone or do you prefer to work as a team? Or you may be asked something along the lines of, tell me about a time where you completed a team project. These questions are meant to weed out as far as, one, have you been on a team? Two, are you a selfish teammate? Are you arrogant? Things like that. Are you a loner? It just all depends. Now, as far as how you answer that question during the phone interview, really going to depend on what the job description said. The job description, somewhere in that job description, if they said team working skills is one of those responsibilities or qualifications, then your answer to this question needs to be, you enjoy working as a team, or you love working as a team, or you've completed many team projects. Okay, 90% of the time, the answer is team, yes to team. Okay, there's going to be rare occasions where the answer is going to be, you know, that you prefer working alone and you're able to handle certain responsibilities alone and you don't need a teammate, things like that. But ultimately, it's going to be working as a team is a sure thing. You may also be asked, why are you interested in this role? It can come out like that. Or they could say, what made you apply for this position? Or they could say, what brought you here on today? You see how all those questions are the same question? Why are you interested? What are you doing here? Why'd you apply? That's always going to be asked during your phone interview. When you're answering that question, you're going to want to show excitement and passion about two things, about the company or the job. That's the first thing. Then you're going to want to show excitement and passion about your industry, your experience, this job itself, especially if it's a job that you've held in the past or similar to what you've already done and you're moving up the ladder. So you want to show passion about why you're interested in this job. That's what they're looking for. Passion, excitement. You don't want to just say, I'm looking for a change of environment. I'm looking to try something new. No, those are selfish things. You want to talk about what you've accomplished briefly, how you can bring it to the table, and what you hope to gain from this new experience. Another component, something to expect during your phone screen, you might be asked what your salary expectations are. I talk about this as well on my channel here. Salary expectations are not supposed to be discussed unless the interviewer brings it up to you. Okay, so if this comes up, which it could possibly come up during your phone screen, you need to have your range already ready to go. Okay, so having done your research, you need to be able to say, yes, I do have salary expectations. They are between $15 an hour and $20 an hour. Or, yes, I have salary expectations. I'm looking to make anywhere between $25 and $30 per hour. Or you could say, yes, I have salary expectations. I'm looking to make between $80,000 and $100,000 for this next position. You see how I said a range? Always say a range. Never give an exact number. Never sound scary or hesitant about it either. Be firm, but don't harp on the salary piece. If they immediately tell you, well, that's outside of our range, and if it truly is outside of your range, then don't budge on it. But if it is something you can negotiate on, then let it be known, okay, well, what is you guys' range? Or what could you go up to? Open the doors of communication for that. I have another video where we talk about salary negotiations. I'll link that below. Another important part of the phone screen, which is going to be addressed, gaps in employment. We got your resume, we got your application, we're looking at your experience. A gap in your employment history is going to be addressed for two reasons. Because one, the recruiter has already been told by the hiring manager that they're looking for people who don't have gaps, okay? That's number one. They still have a problem with it these days, guys. People have problems with employment gaps. This is why you need to be prepared to discuss them. You need to be prepared to be transparent, but you don't need to tell personal information. They don't need to know all that. You just need to develop a good answer that explains why you have a gap in your employment history. You can be transparent, but don't be incriminating. Did you take a gap because you were in school? Did you take a gap because you were caring for a loved one? Did you take a gap to take care of a child? Homeschool? What is it? Did you take a gap because you were dealing with some personal issues? You don't have to be disclosing everything. Next, they're looking at your personality. I know it sounds wrong, but you're interviewing right now, at least, with humans, not robots. So people are looking at your personality. They're looking to see if you're fit with the rest of their team. They're looking to see if you're boring, if you're exciting, if you're a know-it-all. Are you shy? Do you seem like you're a hard worker? What is it about your personality? That's what I tell you guys when I'm talking about put your best foot forward. What do you bring to the table? And you know what? At the end of the day, if your personality doesn't mesh with that team, so be it. Consider it a blessing that you don't have to work with a bunch of boring people if you're a fun person. Or consider it a blessing that if you are a boring person, then you are right where you need to be with other boring people or other people who don't really want to talk. They just want to do their work and go home. That's a thing too. You're going to fit in where the shoe fits. But I will say, start off, be friendly, be polite, be engaged, be enthused. These things people are paying close attention to. This takes me back to the passion, the desires. How do you feel about this field? Is it just right up your alley? Is it something that you've always done? So, yeah, that's what you need to be able to relay. Here's one of the most important things they're going to be talking about on your phone screen. Walk me through your resume. Walk me through your experience. This is why I always say you guys need to know your resume. You need to have it up to date, and it needs to be clear, concise, and it needs to be able to be followed along clearly. I've seen my share of resumes, and I don't, when it's a jigsaw puzzle, when it's hard to navigate, it gets difficult. There's been times where I've asked the person to update their resume before we move on to the next step, because if it's confusing for me, it's going to be confusing for the hiring managers. And you don't want to get yourself weeded out the process all because they weren't able to read it correctly or they misunderstood it. So making sure your resume is up to date for that phone screen, because they're going to ask you to go back through your resume. They're going to say, tell me about your experience, or tell me about the last 2 positions you held as a marketing specialist, or tell me about your history as it comes, like tell me about your last 2 years here at this company. Whatever it may be, you don't want to be saying, oh, I'm not there anymore, or I just quit, I don't work there. It's just not a good look. You want to be on point, guys. Now, I hope I didn't go over that information too quick for you, but the phone screen is your first level of defense when it comes to getting yourself pushed through to the hiring manager and getting further in the interview process. Now, I hope you took notes. If not, rewatch this video, take notes, subscribe for more.